The words of the liar's mouth, causing their followers doubt. One voice shouts above the crowd, the message of political cow. Conspiracies abound inside their twisted sound. One voice shouts above the crowd, the message of political cow. Political cow. Their lies are on the ground. Fake news is breaking down at the sound of political cow. Followers of a false belief, subject to endless grief. She helps to bring them relief. The influence of political cow. All your community loves you. We know that your heart is true. We would be lost without you. The influence of political cow. Political. Their lies are on the ground. Fake news is breaking down at the sound of political cow.
Oh man, I've been on mute this whole time. Well, to answer the question, news, why a countdown? I need to get things ready in advance to make sure that I got a thumbnail image in there, make sure that we've got, some other things set up so I can get going with the stream. Of course, now I have myself muted, so I don't know what went by, like 30, 40 seconds of me. I didn't look to see if I was on mute. I got to write a checklist maybe, but that's basically what the countdown is for. It's more for me, because once I hit start, I'm not ready to go immediately go live. I need to kind of take a few more steps. maybe some people have that automated. I'm not quite there yet, but anyway, for full transparency, though, news. That's why I got a countdown, and so now I've got two of them. I've got a starting soon, and then once I get a certain set of things fixed up, I hit the countdown to give a real time frame as to when it's going to go live. But even then, I was kind of working till the last moment there to make sure everything got up and running. But extremely sad news. Charlie Kirk has passed away. Horrifying event that took place. Absolutely horrifying. I'm at a total loss as to how or why this kind of unfolded. Hey Yoda, appreciate you jumping in the chat there. Yeah, and there's a few that were out there that I thought, do I kind of show that and call them out, but I don't know if I want to give them airtime. You know what I mean? Just the demeanor and the energy they put out there, it's like they would enjoy that. That would be a good thing for them. But it's just very unfortunate. So anyway, I just wanted to walk through a few things that I've found along the way with this whole situation. And again, guys, if you want to see the horizontal version of the stream, it's in the linked. Wait a minute, it's not pinned. Doggone it. See, this is stuff I got to do in advance. Let me pin the message. All right, now it's pinned. It's in the pinned chat message. Or you can go to my channel page and just navigate to it. You'll probably see 2 live events. Anyway, let me just scroll up because the last thing I want to do really is to, like I said, give airtime to people that are just awful humans that are really revealing themselves, like you're pointing out, Yoda. And folks, too, I got the number on the screen, too, if anyone wants to call in, share some of their thoughts. I don't want to have lengthy debate or anything like that. If I give you like 30 seconds, a minute, if you'll just want to kind of express some of your thoughts or kind of what you're taking away from the day on this. But I did want to at least show some things I found posted out there on people's firsthand accounts. This individual, I'm just going to make an assumption here that they were not there in support of Charlie Kirk, but wanted to maybe ask a question or see what was going on. But the whole situation as it unfolded really kind of shook them a bit. So you could see, if you want to look them up on TikTok, their info's right there. This is just a posting on the X platform, but let me play this real quick. Technical difficulties looks like. Where is the sound here? Hold on, guys. I'll get it.
Question line.
All right. She is speaking a little bit softly, but I'll start it over here so you guys can hear it. Sorry about that.
I know that I have a really small platform here, but I was one of the students who witnessed the Charlie Kirk incident at my university. I did not know if the text that I was sending to my family and friends were going to be my last. Charlie Kirk at a Turning Point USA event was shot in the neck and is now in critical condition. I am still shaking from the fact that I was 6 feet away from a gunshot who hit someone in the neck. I do not care where we stand politically, if we agree or disagree with him. I wanted to ask him a question, so I was in the question line. He was shot toward the left side, and I was over here, so of course, if anyone had missed, I or other students would have been at risk. Anyone in the question line? I was crawling out one of the buildings, basically hoping that there was not going to be a second gunshot and hoping that I wasn't going to be one of the people who died today. I will literally never forget that day.
So you can hear it. She was not necessarily a fan, wanted to ask him a question. I mean, I hate to see, but I hate to say it at this point, but I mean, you kind of know that she's not there as a fan. But the humanity of it, you can at least see that it's impacting some of the kids that were out there, and it's making them think about the veracity with which they've been encouraged to behave when it comes to political discourse, and the need for us to kind of, bring things down a notch significantly. I try not to get too worked up. I mean, things do upset me. It upsets everybody, but I try not to get too worked up. Honestly, for folks that have been listening in, you probably heard me, let some folks call in, and they're getting all hyped up, and I don't know, just ask them a few questions, and try to get to the root of what their position is based on. But Charlie kind of took that same approach to me. He had some fun with it. He teased and poked folks about things, right? And some of it was just a kind of like a playful back and forth in my view. I don't think it was anything terribly negative, but I really do hope that they figure out what happened here. I mean, there's images of him. It's gotten so bad, looking at King's comment here, it's gotten so bad that my family's looking to leave the country. I'm sorry to hear that. Chris from Wisconsin, my opinion is that the Dems can't get to Trump, so they're going to get to his friends. Rest in peace, Charlie. Yeah, it's a really sad situation. I mean, there's videos out there of him. I'll get closer to the mic. There's videos there out there of him, taking his young daughters to get a toy, go to the store. Pictures of him just holding them. I mean, to me, they look like they're 3 and 1 years old. Brand new start to life. It's horrible not to have a father in your life from that point forward, All right, so let's see. I got another student's kind of personal account here. Get her take on it.
I just witnessed Charlie Kirk get assassinated. It was the most awful thing I've ever seen in my life. He shot him in the neck and blood went everywhere. And the worst part of it all was the liberals who were there were cheering. So I just have one thing to say. If you identify yourself with the Liberal Party, it's okay. You can believe what you want to believe. But if you identify yourselves with those people who were cheering and someone just got killed, I just hope you can take a look at yourself and think, is this who I really want to be? Because that is disgusting. Disgusting.
Yeah, so this one kind of got me, that in that moment, you see clips of everybody. There's quite a few people. I'm not going to say everybody. They duck, right? Because they think they're in the line of fire. They get up and they start running, trying to flee for safety. Or they're afraid for themselves, right? You see folks rush to Charlie, grab him, try to get him to the hospital as fast as possible. And yet the disturbing aspect that she's not able to shake here is that people are actually cheering. I haven't seen footage of that, but I'm sure there's plenty of it out there. If we just, allow some time to scour the web and see what's what, I'm sure it's out there. But that was a pretty sad take. Well, I guess it's not really a take, a sad experience that she had through this. It was awful enough that she had to experience it and witness it and be in fear for herself, especially in light of what's happened in the past few days prior. But then to see people actually cheering at that sight, is just unbelievable to me. All right, so a lot of politicians did pop up and start, making comments, kind of condemning the actions and offering condolences. We got AOC here, right? She started off like that, but I don't like where she went with it in the end.
I mean, I think what has just transpired is tremendously disturbing. It is the latest evolution and instance of political violence in the United States, and it must end.
Congresswoman, what message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding the political environment? What message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding the political environment and the rhetoric that has been put out in the media?
Beyond rhetoric, we need to talk about action, and we need to talk about, yes, there are words, but most importantly.
So, when I heard this for the first time at this point, I was thinking that by action, she meant actually coming together, being present for, real debate and partnering with, folks on the other side of the aisle. But it took a different turn. Unfortunately. And hey, guys, if you're on the stream, I appreciate you very much. If you could give me some likes, that would really help boost the circulation of these videos. So if you're in here, please give it a like. I see about 270 watching right now. Only got 7 likes. We can get that to 10 really quick. I know we can. But let's see what the direction is that she took it. Again, collaborating, working together, something around unity was the next direction it could have taken, but it unfortunately didn't.
We are in a job of leadership. We are in a job of action. We are in a role and a position where the American people are looking to us to do something about this.
Again, she's recognizing the position that she holds and the example that needs to be set, right?
And every single day, people are dying due to gun violence in America. And every single day, there are people in this building that continue to vote against doing anything. They vote against universal background checks. They continue to support legislation and also remove any way to block the mentally ill, to block extremists, to block people with histories and records of.
Okay, at this point, she just starts going down the laundry list of her usual, usual people or usual villains. And this could be for any topics. In this case, she's, going on talking about gun control. And if you think about it, stop being a politician right now. For real, stop being a politician right now and be a human and address this human tragedy that's just happened, right? I don't like that. That was not a good look. I mean, it probably plays well in the circles that fund her. I see Gary B on the horizontal feed saying she's mentally ill. And guys, if you're on the vertical feed, check out the channel page and you can get a link over to the horizontal version if you want to see a complete screen. I just don't like the direction that she took it. I think it's very unfortunate because each of these are really opportunities for us to come back or to bring things together. And she sold it really bad here. It just went awry. I'll let her complete her remarks here. But let's go ahead. Oh, and hey, I see somebody says Google user. I don't see an option to give you likes. If you're on mobile, double tap the screen. And that gives a like. Domestic
violence from getting guns in their hands. So are we going to do something about this or not? We have a political assassination that happened at the same time as a school shooting where children are dying on the same day, a week after a shooting at a Catholic school where children were gunned down while praying. Are we going to do something or are we going to argue over rhetoric? That is my question about this. We have to pass gun safety legislation and stop this.
What one congresswoman was saying, was yelling at Republicans, and it was Democrats' fault. Democrats did this. That's what we're saying.
I mean, People can finger point all they want. Look at the record. Look at the actions of what we are doing. I don't think a single person who has dedicated their entire career to preventing gun safety legislation from getting passed in this House has any right to blame anybody else but themselves for what is happening. We have.
So there again, assigning blame. I just don't like it. This went the complete wrong way. She had an opportunity. She really did. Everyone at this point in time has an opportunity to bring people together. And she just took it to some place that it shouldn't. She made it political again. She turned back into that politician when she should have took the humanitarian or the human approach and dealt with the human tragedy that was at hand.
To stop.
And yes, she has more to say here.
This. We can stop this. And why don't we start by acknowledging that basic common sense gun safety legislation is not taking away a gun, is not attacking the Second Amendment, but it is about ensuring the safety of our children, of women, of people across this country, to ensure that guns and firearms do not get in the hands of people who are going to use them against human beings, period. Domestic violence is one of the highest indicators of whether a person is going to kill someone else with a gun or not. There are so many other indicators, and I think it is so deeply important that when a politician tries to blame words for inaction, they need to look at their action and their record. Enough of this. This is horrific. This is awful. And the assassination of Charlie Kirk risks an uncorking of political chaos and violence that we cannot risk in America. We cannot risk it.
Congressman, given the political temperature, are you worried about holding events in public now?
Yeah, so let me just check out the chat here. It's been running past me. AOC, stop it. Yeah, she should have stopped a couple minutes in here. Why is she talking, says Lamont. They just caught her on the steps of the Capitol and, of course, throw a microphone at her because they want her to give comment. And it started off just fine, but she immediately turned it into a political opportunity. And I'm not even going to debate the validity of her arguments on gun control, because you can have that discussion at another time, another day, but this was a real failing. I'd say this is a serious character flaw that's being revealed with her. So it's not just her policies that I don't agree with. It's not the lack of well thought out governance that I have a problem with her. Typically, now there's this character flaw in the mix as well.
I think that, of course, it's a natural consequence to see this and to be worried about this. And I think, but what is most important is the fact that we've gotten to this place, and we need to figure out what we can do to ensure that every American can feel safe going to a public event. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Yeah, so somebody commenting, does anyone even listen to her anymore? You'd be surprised they do. She, I believe, gets the biggest donations, or she raises the most money in the party. So honestly, at this point, she runs the show. If the Democrats somehow got Congress again, this might be our next speaker that you're looking at. So whether we like it or not, she's in the game and she's in the lead. But I'll stop short of the politics. She made remarks. Others made remarks too that were meaningful, right? That were respectful and genuine, I thought. But some just not so much. Let me push that alert box up a little bit. You're probably hearing stuff, but not seeing stuff. Okay, got that alert box up. All right, so that was that. I also wanted to show some clips of some other areas that they were actually holding some vigils and prayer for the event. All right. For some reason, this quad layout is not showing up as well as I wanted it to, but just read you the text. Oklahoma mourns for Charlie Kirk. It was a somber night at the University of Oklahoma campus. Turning Point USA OU students organized a vigil for the conservative activist. They say it was all quickly thrown together, but the message of unity in the face, well, I'm going to say in the face of darkness was clear. Missing a little word in there. So, I mean, this kind of stuff came together, right? It was students that were part of the Turning Point USA organization at the university, but I'm hopeful that there'd be more people that come together on this kind of stuff. Trump, of course, put some posts out on Truth Social and through other means, pretty much right as it was happening. This was the message that he posted to his X account.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world.
I see a comment in the chat. I want to call it Apo Pot. I don't condone this action, but Kirk has now become a victim of the system, and he was a key figure in perpetuating. He spread dissent, violence, division, and it ultimately got him killed. I wholeheartedly disagree with, I think, many portions of your statement there. He brought a lot of people together. If you look at the stats, and I'm not trying to give you a political angle here. This is like based in data, right? I'm talking data now. And I appreciate everybody that's subscribing and the likes that are coming in. Really grateful for that. But if you look at the data, Trump won by 20 points. That demographic, the youngest demographic that have voting eligibility, they heavily went to Trump by a margin of 20%. That was bringing them together. That was listening to them saying, like, hey, the American dream is not working for us. We got all this student loan debt that's piling on. You told us to take these STEM career paths to become an engineer or software engineer, scientist, whatever. You told us to go STEM, and now you're shipping all those jobs overseas. What the heck? Like, what am I supposed to do with myself in this massive debt that I've got? And so those ideals of, hey, let's prioritize you and prioritize jobs here first resonated with them. And that's what Kirk went out there and connected with everyone on, and helped kind of articulate what the platform really meant. So, I mean, there's a couple other pieces in there, but he did not go out there and say, today I'm going to show up and, help sow more division, right? There was an alternative that he was offering these kids because, I mean, as I was going through college, and it was in California, the popular thing to do was either join the Green Party or declare yourself a Democrat, right? And that, that kind of lean has been very much popularized in college campuses across the country. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can offer folks just open discussion, understand what the positions are, and allow them to make up their minds. And that's the bottom line as to what he was after. Let me let Trump continue here with his remarks.
We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
And, people, I don't think, realize the significance of Charlie Kirk. I mean, he would likely have moved on to, become a congressperson, have some position in politics. Right now, his goal and his ambitions were set around broadcasting a message and his principles. But again, this was Trump's remarks, calling for unity, calling for people to come together. Let me get over to Eric Adams. So late in the evening, all right, guys, late in the evening. And if you're on here, it says that we got over 1,000 people watching right now. I appreciate you. Help me out a little bit. Double tap the screen if you're on mobile. Get some likes going. All right, so this is Mayor Eric Adams, and his thoughts on what's transpired.
Each year, around this time, I find my way here at the reflection pool here at Ground Zero. Many family members left flowers and flags to think about the loved ones they lost on September 11, 2001. And I committed my life to fighting against terrorism, both foreign and domestic. And when you lose thousands of New Yorkers to foreign terrorism, you cannot help but to reflect on today with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, domestic terrorism. He was murdered in front of his 2 children and wife, all because of the extremist views of some. And then to add to that pain, You have those on the far left who are celebrating his death because they disagree with him. The 31-year-old father lost his life to the extremist views of domestic terrorism. When you think about this for a moment, you know that it is the greatest challenge we are facing as a country, where one use political violence to push forward their thoughts. When this is a country where disagreements should be debated in an open communication forum. My heart goes out to the thousands of New Yorkers who are still grieving 24 years later. And today, we grieve for the family members of Charlie Kirk, his wife, and 2 children. We're so much better than this as Americans. We're so much better than this as human beings. And I'm going to commit my life, as I did 24 years ago, as a lieutenant in the police department here at Ground Zero. I'm going to commit my life as the mayor to protect our city from both foreign and domestic terrorists. God bless this country. God bless this city. And God bless the family members who will join us tomorrow as we reflect on the loss of their loved ones.
Yeah, so I see some remarks in the chat. Some people saying he asked for it. I'm going to put you in timeout because it's not the sort of thought process I'd like to promote here. It's this is never asked for. This is never appropriate. This is never okay under any circumstance. And, one of the things that the mayor just said here that kind of struck me is that his family was there, which I did not realize that or know that they were traveling with him. But his kids are like, toddlers or 3-4 years old. So very likely they can travel with him. Let me ask somebody here.
Welcome back, sir. What's on your mind today?
Can you tell me if Charlie Kirk's family and his wife and kids were traveling with him to the event in Utah today?
No. Charlie Kirk's family was not with him at the Utah event. He was there for a speaking engagement, and his family life, including his...
Okay. The AI gets long-winded sometimes, so that's actually good news. If there's anything like that can be taken away from this. But that was Mayor Adams, and looks like my last link here did not render. Let's see what this one's all about. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is a little crazy to me, guys.
Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying. He just ran from over, where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying. Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
Sorry, I was on mute again, but evidently before everything went down, a couple of kids recorded somebody running around on the rooftops out there. Why nobody was notified, they didn't call this one in, is just baffling to me. I'm astonished that nothing came of it. They just allowed it to unfold. And you could hear how he ended it. Oh, I'm just saying. So that level of, I'm just a bystander, right? That level of inaction is another thing that we need to fix in our culture. You saw the events that happened the day before in the train system in Charlotte. And there were about 4 people there. And it's not to say, jump in and tackle the perpetrator, but it was very quick. He walked away, jump in and help the person that's been injured, which they did not. So again, another moment, another thing to kind of do some deep reflection on. What kind of a society do we want to encourage? What kind of principles do we want to instill in kids in school? Why is it that we have a Pledge of Allegiance that people are rejecting now, right? Those kind of set up some basic values that are no longer out there. I think it's I think it's time that some of this stuff starts changing. So guys, let me know what you think. Numbers on the screen, you could call it. Can you see the number or not? Yeah, I can see the number. I'm just checking my other screen here. Give me a call. I don't want to have lengthy debates or anything like that tonight. But just if you have a takeaway that you want to express or just some thoughts on it, give you a little bit of time to do so with everybody. So those are my stream notes. If you want to take a look at all those links and stuff from my stream notes, just go to politicalcow.com. It should be listed there as the top item. But I'll try to continue publishing stream notes and stuff over there. So another person that did give some remarks right away, and you can see it's high-ranking political officials. You had the Speaker of the House engage on this as well.
We just want to make a brief statement here, and I'm going to go and ask my colleagues to join me in a moment of silence for our dear friend Charlie Kirk. We ask everyone to pray for him and his family. I'm just going to state the obvious here. This is detestable, what's happened. Political violence has become all too common in American society, and this is not who we are. It violates the core principles of our country, our Judeo-Christian heritage, our civil society, our American way of life, and it must stop. We need every political figure, we need everyone who has a platform to say this loudly and clearly. We can settle disagreements and disputes in a civil manner, and political violence must be called out, and it has to stop. Again, we ask for prayer. I'm going to go lead the chamber here in a moment of silence, and we hope for the best for Charlie. Thank you.
So that was some quick remarks from the Speaker of the House. Let me see if I can pull up my YouTube page real quick here. Where is my YouTube page? Let's get my channel up. Oops, don't do that. Is that centered okay? Well, good enough, I guess. Let's go to my channel. As you can see, we have the horizontal and vertical versions here if you guys are interested in one versus the other. This is the moment I wanted to kind of share with you guys, the moment of silence that happened on the floor of Congress. I think a pretty significant event. You can see everyone, it was a pretty packed house. Everyone stood, was quiet all the way up and down. Some people after the fact did say that when this was offered as a, an action that they should take, some people actually yelled no and, pushed back, but they quickly were, I think they were quickly shut down by their colleagues. Like, this is not the time or place to do something like that. But let me play this for you.
The chair would ask that all members present in the chamber and those in the gallery please rise for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. Chair would ask that all members present in the chamber and those in the gallery.
So you could see the entire House floor was basically covered with folks. And they were all, you know, kind of observing that moment of silence. So pretty significant event there as well. Let me just check out the chat a little bit here. What's going on with the chat? Nazimi Johnson, the country can get better by respecting each other no matter the color or, the color or race. I agree. That's a strong starting point. Some kids lost their lives. I guess the kids aren't important today. Oh, you're talking about the other event that happened in Colorado. Yeah. Yeah, it's there's a lot of things that happened today, and you know, just the nature of the news cycle, the major political figure or the celebrity always leads when it comes to the news. Too many chefs, not enough Indian, says Suzanne Ray. I might have missed the earlier comments on that. So I'm not sure the full context of what you're talking about. It's getting to the point of no return. Yeah. I appreciate it, Skinny. Appreciate the subscription there. So, I mean, you guys tell me if you got any thoughts, call in. I know it's a little bit late. I did want to start this earlier, just other things keep popping up. I can't get on a good schedule that's not a past midnight start time schedule. Let me just scan the news wires real quick. Hold on, I'll bring this over here so you can look at it together with me. Let's bring that over here. Almost there, guys. Almost there. All right, just scanning the headlines here. So there was actually 2 individuals that were picked up. Both of them have been released now. Just looking at the... let's look at the bias comparison. Left-leaning outlets frame Charlie Kirk's shooting as primarily a failure of public safety and a consequence of radical left rhetoric emphasizing accountability. Right-leaning sources label the incident as an assassination, which is a loaded term implying deliberate political targeting. I think there was deliberate political targeting here involved. And highlight Kirk's combative and unapologetic stance amid culture wars. Yeah, so suspect has been released. Person detained. Looks like this is the state that we're in now for the rest of the night into the early morning. Video shows him fleeing moments after Kirk's... Oh, really? There's one of him fleeing now. See, the one that we looked at a minute ago was the person actually taking position. Let's see what this shows us, if anything. I'm going to decline the cookies. There we go. Do you actually have the video, or are you just telling us that there is a video? And this site does not seem to want to compress very easily. Let me decompress it here. Okay, now we're into the infinite ads. Oh, here we go. All right, so here they're saying this shows the person that was observed on the rooftop by those kids earlier. This shows them actually fleeing the scene. Let's see. Okay, up here. Yeah, circled. Okay, that was kind of small. I might have to zoom in. Okay, I'm going to try to zoom in, guys, okay? Because that was a little bit too small for me. All right, let's see if we can actually get this to play again. Replay. Yeah, it's not very good footage. I mean, you see a little speck on the rooftop there, but I can't really discern if it's moving. I can't discern if it's moving or as you pan to the side, it's causing an optical illusion that it's moving. Yeah, so that didn't really help. Okay, let's zoom it back into this shape. All right, let's get out of that one. Squish the page again, scoot it over. I think I need to squish the page a little more. Help it fit on the screen. All right, horrifying video tells us about. Yeah, don't seek out the video. It's not worth it, guys. I can't show it on this platform, so I had no intention of doing anything like that. So let's not even go there. FBI releases person detained. That happened a few hours ago. Manhunt continues. And I don't think they're going to give us very many details on what's actually happening with that manhunt so that they can, you know, execute it as they would like and not have too many of their procedures called out in advance. Skinny says, I have PTSD from seeing the video, honestly. I'm sure. I don't even want to describe it. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was on the X platform, and it's, you know, you get a steady stream of videos, and it just popped up on me. And it was like, whoa. Like, I hope that was AI or something, you know? He's Charlie. Just reading through Darcy O'Connor. What is wrong with people? Why in the world would anyone want to kill Charlie Kirk? The end of the world is near. Rest in peace, Charlie. You will be missed. The world will never be the same without you. It is a sad statement. You know, it's a pretty sad reality. I appreciate the subscription. I did not see the name. Let me see what comes up here for me. Melanie, thank you for subscribing. Yeah, American Muscle. I don't know. The Gaza thing makes its way into everything. It's almost like the kids running around saying 6-7 randomly. People just seem to randomly throw that out as well. Why would I feel sorry for a man that has no sympathy for the children? Oh, you're talking about Gaza, I assume. Okay. You know, it's funny. If I could find that video, you know, there's a video of him. Where did I see it? I don't know if I could find it quickly enough here. Otherwise, you guys can sit here and watch me search. Maybe did I bookmark it? Let me see. Hang on, guys. Let me just pull this window over here. X.com. There's a video where he was very critical of Israel that I don't think works well with that talking point. I keep moving my bookmarks. Oops. All bookmarks, two. Okay, that's not it. Charlie Kirk. Oh, here we go. This is it.
End of hatred.
Hang on. Let's just a minute and a half. And I don't think he's saying anything hateful here. He's just like calling stuff out, right? There we go.
Against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Now, I don't like generalizations. Not every Jewish person believes that. But it is true the Anti-Defamation League was part and parcel with Black Lives Matter. It is true that some of the largest financiers of left-wing anti-white causes have been Jewish Americans. They went all in on woke, and it wasn't just ADL. It was some of the top Jewish organizations in the country that have done that. In fact, we have seen this with the recent retreat of Jewish donations that are no longer going to be administered to colleges, right? Mark Rowan, Leon Kopperman. Can we get that full list? It's very powerful. The part of the so that's totally true. And by the way, Tucker Carlson reinforces this. So I'm going to it was quite a day on the internet. Tucker Carlson was interviewing Candace Owens. We have Candace Owens coming up next hour. And Tucker Carlson mentions that Jewish Americans have primarily been financing cultural Marxist ideas. We said this, by the way, last week, and people came after us. We were on top of it. We actually said it in a different way. We said, I'm glad that Jewish Americans are reconsidering their financing of cultural Marxism. And people misunderstood it intentionally and slandered us as being anti-Semites. But listen to this. Tucker Carlson is completely correct by saying this, that the philosophical foundation of anti-whiteness has been largely financed by Jewish donors in the country.
So I think he was just kind of being real and calling stuff out there. I don't think there was an all-in aspect for Israel there, right? His bottom line, and I truly feel that this was what it was along the lines of what Trump has put out there, is America first. So he's all in on everything America. So I don't think in any way, shape, or form is he pro any other country ahead of the United States. As he was kind of calling people out here for funding a lot of liberal agendas over the past 4 or 5 years, calling them out, and then all of a sudden they kind of get taken about face and want to support Republicans. Trump declared war on the Democrats 10 minutes ago. Did he really? I'm going to have to ask my AI. It can do the searching faster than I can.
Welcome back, sir. What's next on your mind?
Hey, did Trump declare war on the Democrats 10 minutes ago?
It appears that Charlie Kirk attended the Utah event alone. There's no information suggesting his family traveled with him. Would you like to know more about the event?
That was my last question. My new question is about Donald Trump and if he has declared war on the Democrat Party.
No, Donald Trump didn't declare war on the Democratic Party. He made statements regarding Chicago, suggesting action against the city's alleged issues. But that's not the same as declaring war.
All right, thank you.
No, Donald Trump hasn't declared war on the Democratic Party. He's made statements about Chicago.
I don't know why it's so glitchy tonight. It's like repeating itself. Jeez. Yeah, the China is number one, baby. Well, hold on. Let me get this straight. This just proves that China is number one, baby. Charles Freck. Is that an exciting proposition? I don't know. It might be for some. China has 0 mass shootings this year. American Muscle. You know what, guys? Maybe I'll open up my community tab and let you guys post things there on the YouTube channel so that it's a little bit more connected and doesn't get kind of lost in the mix. But hey, if you're in here, give the live a like or subscribe. You know, the last thing I got that I had interest and I really wanted to watch because I hadn't done it yet was the press briefing that just happened. But, you know, a lot of stuff has transpired. So I'm a little behind on my C-SPAN. So let's see if we can dive in here together and listen to a special message from Caroline Leavitt. A little tardy here. Tardy for the party. Yeah, very tardy for the party. What's going on here? Caroline, where are you at? Oh, there she is.
Good afternoon, everybody. Apologize for my tardiness today. Thanks for being here. Another packed room. It's good to see. We'll begin with a scheduling update today. President Trump will commemorate the 24th anniversary of 9/11 on Thursday with a visit to the Pentagon Memorial in the morning, followed by an appearance at the New York Yankees game at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx on Thursday evening. Next week, as you all know, the President and the First Lady will depart for their historic state visit to the United Kingdom on Tuesday, and they return to Washington on Thursday. Today, I would like to address the tragedy that has not received nearly enough media attention, the brutal murder of Irina Zarutska. Here are the facts that many outlets have shamefully and intentionally failed to report until President Trump.
It's actually true. I use Ground News. It's not just an aggregator. There's AI that compares the language and the ownership and the bias and the factuality and it kind of mixes all that up for you from different outlets. But there was not, when you think mainstream big names, NBC, so forth, there was not very much there. It was, you know, second tier outlets or, you know, major news providers, say like AP, that NBC and some of these other ones would usually pick up and then rebroadcast, and then it would get, you know, mass audiences. But I don't know. It was slow to evolve.
Drew attention to it. On August 22nd, Irina Zarutska was stabbed to death on the rail system in Charlotte, North Carolina by a savage career criminal. This is a public transportation system that many in the area use every single day to go to school and work. Irina was on the train that night traveling home from her job at a pizzeria, still in uniform from her shift. This beautiful, innocent 23-year-old young woman was a Ukrainian refugee who had recently fled her country for a chance at a safer life and a promising new beginning here in the United States of America. But tragically, a public transportation system in a major American city was more dangerous than the active war zone that she left. The president and the entire White House are praying for her family and friends during this unimaginably difficult time. But while we extend our thoughts and prayers, we must also seek justice for this crime and call attention to this heinous incident. Surveillance video of the killing was finally released to the public this past Friday. It shows the alleged killer, DeCarlos Brown Jr., pull out a knife, get up from his seat behind Irina, and prepare to thrust a blade into her neck before the released footage gets cut. This is pure evil on full display. The most enraging and unacceptable part of this story is that her death was entirely preventable. DeCarlos Brown never should have been on that train that night. In fact, he should have been behind bars. DeCarlos Brown has been charged with crimes no fewer than 14 times, dating back to 2011, including for armed robbery, felony larceny, breaking and entering, and shoplifting. Brown had previously served 5 years in prison for a robbery with a deadly weapon charge, and he had also forfeited bonds 3 different times, twice in 2014 and once in 2023.
Big and special thank you to Juan. I really appreciate it, Juan. Thanks for staying here with us.
Despite all of this past documented criminal history, when Brown was arrested yet again in January of this past year, a Democrat judge, who I will add was a strong supporter of former Vice President Kamala Harris, released this insane criminal once again without requiring him to pay any bail. He simply had to sign a written promise to return for his court hearing. Think about how crazy it is to ask a career criminal, someone who by definition repeatedly breaks the law, to just sign a written promise and come back again another day. This is madness. This monster should have been locked up, and Arena should still be alive. But Democrat politicians, liberal judges, and weak prosecutors would rather virtue signal than lock up criminals and protect their communities. And perhaps most shamefully of all, the majority of the media, many outlets in this room, decided that her murder was not worth reporting on originally because it does not fit a preferred narrative. Many of the journalists in this room spilled plenty of ink trying to smear Daniel Penny for defending a subway car from a deranged lunatic in New York City, but none of those same reporters lift a finger to write stories about an actual murderer. Here's the truth that every American must know. Too many innocent people across the country continue to pay the price of the failed experiment known as cashless bail that has been championed by the Democrat Party for years. All the way back in 2020, North Carolina's then Democrat Governor Roy Cooper established a so-called task force for racial equity in criminal justice. Sounds nice, but it's not. That task force was co-authored by then Attorney General and current Democrat Governor Josh Stein. It recommended, quote, reimagining public safety to, quote, promote.
Equity and opportunity are interesting words, right? Two different things, but that's not the intent here. Just always gets me when it gets pointed out, or at least mentioned.
Diversion and other alternatives to arrest. It also advised to de-emphasize some felony crimes, prioritize, quote, restorative justice, and eliminate cash bail. Democrats in North Carolina and nationwide are consumed with pushing a woke, soft-on-crime agenda, no matter how many innocent Americans suffer as a result. Instead of aggressively prosecuting and locking up violent criminals, the Democrat-backed cashless bail approach lets these criminals roam free in our country to offend again and again. These reckless policies have turned too many of American cities into hunting grounds for career criminals who mock our justice system, drain law enforcement resources, and wreak havoc on law-abiding citizens. Enough is enough, and that is why President Trump is doing everything in his power by taking action to undo these absurd policies. The president recently signed a powerful executive order directing the AG to submit a list of states and local jurisdictions with cashless bail policies, so that the Trump administration may identify federal funds that are being provided to these states and can potentially be suspended or terminated. President Trump firmly believes that to maintain order in public safety, we must incarcerate individuals whose pending criminal charges or criminal history demonstrate a clear, ongoing risk to civil society. This is a common sense and sensible approach that the vast majority of Americans agree with, and it's time for the Democrat Party to get on board with what is right. When these criminals are caught, they must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and be sent to prison, where they can no longer terrorize our streets. This is the mandate the American people delivered to President Trump, and it's a mandate he intends to fulfill. Staying on the topic of public safety, new preliminary data released today by Customs and Border Protection in August shows that President Trump has delivered the most secure border in American history. For the fourth straight month, 0 illegal aliens were released into the United States by CBP. Nationwide encounters are down 93%, below the peak of the Biden administration. Border Patrol apprehensions on the southwest border in the entire month of August were less than what was apprehended in 4 days in August 2024, under the Biden administration. President Trump has ended disastrous Biden illegal alien invasion. He sealed our border in record time, keeping this central promise he made to the American public. With that, I will take your questions. Here in our new media seat today, we have Michael Schellenberger, who is the founder of Public News with nearly 2 million readers and subscribers. Michael, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And why don't you kick us off? Sure.
Thank you for making space for new media. Nice to meet all of you. It's great to be here. I want to see if you could give some insight into whether the president is considering additional measures against Europe and Brazil, not just for censorship, but also for preventing political candidates from actually competing in elections. We've now seen in Romania, France, and now Germany with Joachim Paul, efforts to basically just prevent candidates from being able to compete in elections. The president has shown some concern around President Bolsonaro, who's being prevented from running. All of this is coming in the context of increased censorship of online platforms, of American platforms, and efforts to censor Americans. I'm personally being investigated under criminal investigation with my Brazilian colleagues for publishing the Twitter Files Brazil. We're very grateful that the president has imposed Magnitsky sanctions on the judge. Is the president considering additional actions, given that it appears that they're going to end up with a conviction against President Bolsonaro, preventing him from...
I just got to say, this guy's question was so long-winded. Like, I forgot what he's been asking until he said Bolsonaro. And now I assume, is President Trump going to intervene in some way? But this is like a marathon of a question. Like, just get to the point. She looks annoyed, too. Like, man, I put you in that special seat and you're asking me this kind of crap.
Is he considering doing anything about this crackdown in Europe? I mean, it's shocking to see Joachim Paul, this mayoral candidate in Germany, the criminal indictment against him cites him, quote, saying that he loves the Lord of the Rings as reason why he's an extremist and shouldn't be able to run. So I just wonder if you could speak to that. And again, I'm grateful to be here. Nice to meet you all. And I'm grateful for what the Trump administration has done to push for free speech abroad.
Well, thanks for being here, Michael. We appreciate it. Freedom of speech is arguably the most important issue of our time. It is enshrined in our Constitution, and the president believes in it strongly. He himself faced censorship in his road back to this beautiful Oval Office here in Washington, D.C., so he takes this very seriously, as does, I know, the Vice President of the United States and the entire Trump administration, which is why we have taken significant action with regards to Brazil and the...
All right, Jared asked for a moo. Let me see if my AI will moo.
Welcome back, sir. Welcome back, Masood. What's new with you? Welcome back, Senior Moo. How's it going?
Can you moo, like make a moo noise for the live stream audience?
Moo. There you go, Senior Moo. Hope that lives up to your live stream expectations.
There you go, Jared. That one was for you.
Form of both sanctions and also leveraging the use of tariffs to ensure that countries around the world are not punishing their citizens in this way. And at the same time, the president is, while he's leveraging the United States to safeguard our interests abroad, he's also making sure that freedom of speech remains here in the United States of America. So I don't have any additional actions to preview for you today, but I can tell you this is a priority for the administration, and the president is unafraid to use the economic might, the military might of the United States of America to protect free speech around the world.
Quick follow-up to that?
Sure.
Quick follow-up, which is just, there was a Reuters story saying that the Trump administration was looking at this Europe-U.S. trade deal as one of the sticking points, this issue of the censorship, not just of U.S. platforms, of Americans. Do you have any updates on how those trade talks are going? And I also wonder if the president is concerned about NATO membership. NATO membership requires that you be a democracy and you have free speech. Is it possible that some of these actions that we've seen in Romania, France, and Germany would disqualify those countries from being in NATO after this?
I have not heard the president discuss NATO membership in regards to this issue in particular, but I have heard him discuss the issue of free speech and the importance of free speech with foreign leaders around the world, including the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. When we were in Scotland, the president brought this up and how important it is for the Prime Minister to protect free speech in the UK and in various conversations with other world leaders. So he brings it up, and I think the entire world knows that this is a priority for the President of the United States. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Regarding the Israeli strike in Doha, how much time or how much of a heads up did the U.S. get, and does the president support the strike?
Sure. Well, I have a statement to read for all of you with respect to the Israeli strike in Doha, and here it is. This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. President Trump immediately directed Special Envoy Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did. The president views Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the United States and feels very badly about the location of this attack. President Trump wants all of the hostages in Gaza and the bodies of the dead released, and this war to end now. President Trump also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu after the attack. The Prime Minister told President Trump that he wants to make peace, and quickly. President Trump believes this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. The president also spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for their support and friendship to our country. He assured them that such a thing will not happen again on their soil.
To be clear, the president disagrees with the location of the strike, and that he passed that along to the Prime Minister Netanyahu.
The president just confirmed that in the statement that I just read to you, which I spoke with him about before coming out here. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. So is the president upset with Netanyahu now?
The president made his thoughts and concerns about this very clear, and he spoke again both to Prime Minister Netanyahu and also the Emir and the Prime Minister of Qatar after this attack. And the president has always made it very clear that he wants peace in the Middle East, just like he sought that and accomplished that in his first term. He expects all of our allies and friends in the region, that includes both Qatar and Israel, to seek peace as well. And he wants to see that happen, and he's working with all of our allies in the region to get that done.
Are there any consequences, so to speak, for Netanyahu doing this, as it sounds, against the president's wishes, or at least his belief that it was appropriate? Is there going to be any directive from the president to Netanyahu in terms of what's allowed in the future? And also, is there any concern this could jeopardize the Abraham Accords?
Look, that's a decision only the president can make. With respect to your first question, to answer your second question, as you heard from the president, he said he believes that this can serve as an opportunity for peace, and he's still actively and aggressively pursuing it with all of our allies and partners in the region. Jennifer?
Just to follow up on that, Caroline, are you able to say how often the president spoke to the Prime Minister of Israel before this? Because that's one question. And then what did he mean on Sunday when he posted, "I've given my last warning to Hamas," etc.? He wasn't talking about this strike on Doha?
No, he was not. As I told you, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that Israel was attacking Hamas, and the president spoke to the Prime Minister after the attack, as well as, again, the Emir and the Prime Minister of Qatar. And I know Secretary Rubio and Special Envoy Witkoff were present for that call with the Qataris as well. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions for you on crime crackdown.
Sure.
Democrats have tried to argue that red states have higher crime rates while overlooking problems of high crime in blue cities. I'm wondering if...
I'm going to take a quick break, folks, but I'm going to let this continue. Hearing the crime stats. Now, keep in mind, this briefing happened earlier in the morning. So the attack that happened in Qatar was a big talking point. At that point in time, it was just a few hours later that everything unfolded in Utah, as well as in Colorado. So the remarks aren't going in that direction quite yet. She did address the incident in the train. I believe it was Charlotte, right? Man, my memory fading. I don't know. Anyway, going to take a quick break, but let's see what the responses are here for some of these questions coming up. They always try to hit her hard with some of these questions, but does a very nice job providing facts, sticking to the talking points, and pushing back on the press.
The president would consider working with red state governors to fix high crime in blue cities like in Memphis, Tennessee.
So first...
But again, taking a quick break.
Well, I want to get to the premise of your question, Reagan, which is being pushed by Democrats, that there is crime in red states. Of course, there is crime in all states, but the crime in these cities is all in cities that are run by Democrats. If you look at the list of the top 20 high crime cities in the United States, every single one, with the exception of one in Louisiana, is run by a Democrat. And these Democrats have supported the same policies that I spoke about at the beginning of this briefing, like cashless bail. If you look at a red state, Mississippi, but a Democrat-run city in that state, Jackson, in 2019, Jackson, Mississippi, eliminated cash bail for virtually all misdemeanor cases. And while Jackson is not formally a sanctuary city, the state of Mississippi formally banned sanctuary cities, and this city has acted as a de facto sanctuary city for criminals and illegal aliens since 2017. Same thing, Birmingham, Alabama, a Democrat-run city in a red state. In 2017, the Birmingham City Council unanimously passed a resolution, quote, committing to establish sanctuary policies. So if you actually look at the facts from these Democrat-run cities, these are cities that are run by Democrats and by by members of the Democrat Party. These are blue cities, and they have all supported these disastrous policies which allow repeated career criminals back onto the streets to further commit acts of violence. And so to answer your question, yes, the president wants to work with anyone across this country who wants to end these horrible policies and to bring law and order to our streets. And I think that is proven by his tremendous cooperation with the mayor of Washington, D.C. and our nation's capital. And just look at the results of that. And I do have some updates for you on the D.C. crime crackdown if anyone is interested. There have been a total of 2,177 arrests made since the start of the operation on August 7th. Just last night, there were 57 arrests made in Washington, D.C. Of the 57 arrests, there were 14 illegal aliens who were arrested, many of whom had prior criminal histories. And other arrests just last night in our nation's capital, so you all can be very grateful for this. Our great men and women of law enforcement, both federal and local, working together as they should, made an arrest on a warrant for assault with the intent to kill. The subject shot 2 adult males after an altercation. They made an arrest on a warrant for an armed carjacking. The subject assaulted an adult male in the face with a firearm and then took his keys. We also made an arrest on a warrant for simple assault and the destruction of property and subsequently charged with second-degree theft. Last night in D.C., there was an arrest for possession of a controlled substance with second-degree theft. There was an arrest for possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute that subject. The person is also a subject of interest in a homicide and a carjacking. Last night in D.C., we also arrested a felon in possession of a firearm who was carrying that firearm without a license. So these are the career criminals. These are the bad guys that we are picking up in Washington, D.C. every day. The president would love to do this in every Democrat-run city across the country, and he hopes that more Democrats will call the White House to allow us to help them.
One more that's D.C. specific. Congress is poised to not extend Trump's federalization of the D.C. police. Mayor Bowser signed an executive order formalizing cooperation with federal forces. You just mentioned all the success that the operation has had. Does the White House believe that the Mayor Bowser's action is enough to continue the crime crackdown?
We are very grateful for the mayor's cooperation in this effort, and we look forward to continuing to work with her and the Metropolitan Police Department. Bloomberg.
Thanks, Caroline. The president says, he was planning to speak with Putin soon. Can we expect a phone call between the two leaders this week?
I don't have any phone calls to read out between you, the president, and any other foreign leaders. Ed.
Thanks, Carolyn. I want to ask about the benchmark revisions that came out. If you look at the revisions between March of 2024 and March of 2025, and you do a little math, it averages out to 73,000 jobs roughly per month added to the economy, less than what was thought. When can we expect the Trump administration, now their policies are rolling out, for that increase, that average to increase?
Well, let me just say something about the revisions that came out this morning. And this was one of the biggest revisions in absolute terms in decades. In the benchmark year, March 2024 to 2025, shows that the job growth was vastly weaker during the Biden administration than ever previously reported. Between this revision and last year's, job growth was actually overstated by approximately 2 million jobs. And the Biden administration stood up here and vouched for that data and told you that data was real. And when President Trump calls into question the veracity of that data, like he did before he took the oath of office and even now as President of the United States, he was ridiculed for that. And turns out this revision proves two things. Number one, the president was right, and this is why we need new leadership at the Fed. And this makes it very clear that President Trump inherited a much worse economy by the Biden administration than ever reported. And it also proves that the Federal Reserve is holding our monetary policy far too restrictive. Interest rates are too high. The Fed needs to cut the rates because of the mess that we inherited from the Biden administration.
Time frame. The president has said a year. Secretary Bessent said maybe the fourth quarter. When can we expect these numbers to increase?
Well, first, we need accurate numbers. We need truthful and honest data, which is why the president took the monumental step to try and appoint and confirm new leadership at the BLS so we can have data that we can actually rely on. And that's what the president is doing, and we hope that his nominee will soon be confirmed. Charlie.
You addressed the crime of Irina Zurutka, and the president has done a lot to deliver justice for victims of crimes like that horrific stabbing. And the Epstein files are back in the news because a lot of Americans feel that that Jeffrey Epstein's victims never got justice. Does the president care about these victims? Do you think he can does he want to deliver more justice for them, and is he willing to meet with them?
The president cares about victims of all crimes, and that's why Republicans in the Trump Department of Justice have done more in terms of transparency when it comes to the Epstein case than any prior administration. And why are the Democrats all of a sudden caring about this? It's because they are desperately trying to concoct a hoax to smear the President of the United States. We have seen this time and time again. Ro Khanna and all of these other Democrats, they could have cared about those victims 4 years ago. When Joe Biden was in office, they could have pushed for transparency then. Unfortunately, the Democrats are using victims as political pawns to try to smear and to push a hoax against the President of the United States. And I will get you numbers on the amount of child predators that this administration and this FBI and this Department of Justice have locked up under President Trump's leadership. We have done more than any president to protect victims of crime, especially disgusting, heinous sexual crimes, and that includes the deportation of illegal aliens who are perpetrating these crimes against innocent victims in our country right now today, and that remains a top priority for this administration.
Does the president, will he meet with the victims?
On the Doha strikes, did the president speak with Netanyahu before they were carried out? Did he urge him to not go through with it, or did they only speak afterwards?
Again, I read you a statement. The Trump administration was notified by the United States military that Israel was attacking Hamas. The president directed his special envoy Witkoff to immediately call the Qataris, and after the attack, he spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu.
One more.
Behind you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
About the Epstein case, would the White House support a professional handwriting expert review of the document released yesterday to prove that it's not the president's signature?
Sure, we would support that. And in fact, I have already seen many forensic analysts of signatures coming out. I believe it was the Daily Signal that published a piece with 3 separate signature analysts who said that this absolutely was not the president's authentic signature. And we have maintained that position all along. The president did not write this letter. He did not sign this letter. And that's why the president's external legal team is aggressively pursuing litigation against the Wall Street Journal, and they will continue to. Christian.
Thanks, Caroline. Following up on Ed, now that we have these revised jobs numbers, is the president concerned at all that price spikes, stemming from his tariffs through the end of the year, might actually be driving the country towards a depression or a recession? What I'm asking is he committed to these policies now that we know how faulty the jobs data was?
The president is committed to his policies because his policies are working, Christian. And there have been a lot of people fear-mongering about inflation in this room, but it just has not come to fruition. On a monthly basis, CPI inflation has now come in at or below the market's expectation for 6 consecutive months, every month that President Trump has been in office. Overall, inflation has run at a 1.9% average pace in the president's first 6 months in office. I would have told all of you that in January, you would not have believed me, but those are the facts and those are the numbers. And we also see many other positive signs in economic indicators like real GDP. In the second quarter, it was revised up to 3.3%. That beat the market's expectation. We know there's a capital spending boom right now, which which we know is one of the greatest economic indicators of job growth. We know wages are increasing at a far faster pace than they were under the previous administration. We see productivity in the second quarter was also revised up to a strong 3.3%. And total industrial production, factory output also surged. All of this means the economy is moving. People are working. People are spending money. You look at consumer spending. That is also ticking up and in the right direction. And in a large part, it's because of the incredible work the president has done in terms of energy and unlocking our energy dominance in this country. Again, these jobs, the numbers from the BLS today prove that the economy was an absolute mess, and we are working every single day to fix it, and all of those indicators I just read for you are positive sign of what is to come.
Just one more quickly on
Sure,
trade,
Danny.
Just wanted to get a bit of clarity on the sequence of events for the Doha attack and the notification. You said that the U.S. military notified, I got it right, the Trump administration was notified by the U.S. military.
That's right.
Was the U.S. military notified by the Israeli military, or did the U.S. military detect an incoming Israeli attack on Qatar?
The U.S. military notified the White House and the President of the United States. That's all I have to share for you on that, Danny.
Thank you.
Jeff.
Also following up, you said that the president assured the leaders in Qatar that this would never happen again. Did he say that to the Prime Minister of Israel, and did Prime Minister Netanyahu agree to that?
The president told that to the emir and the prime minister of Qatar, and the president also overstressed the importance of peace in the region in his conversation with Prime Minister Netanyahu as well. And Prime Minister Netanyahu told President Trump he wants peace and he wants it quickly. That's what the president expects to happen. The president is very clear in the statement that he just had me read, and you will all see it out on Truth Social very shortly, I am sure. The whole world will see it. He wants all of the hostages released out of Gaza, and he wants this war to end. Those are two clear directives that the president is making very clear for the entire world to understand. Mary.
But Qatar obviously has been helping to negotiate these ceasefire talks. Does the president think that Israel is undermining negotiations by striking Qatar? Is he concerned that Qatar's no longer going to want to play that intermediary role?
I think the president addressed that in the statement. I can read the whole thing for you again. I think it's very thorough because the president wanted to address all of your questions. We wrote, unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. So he answered that question himself.
You can't say that Israel informed the U.S.
What I can tell you is the United States military informed the Trump administration.
Thank you. A quick follow on that. Can you tell us when the U.S. military was notified, given that the largest U.S. military base is in Doha? And then I have a question on D.C. crime.
This morning, just before the attack, as I said earlier as well.
Okay, thank you. And yesterday, the president spoke about D.C. crime and talked about how there was virtually none. And then he expressed frustration about things that take place in the home they call crime. He said, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this is crime. See, now I can't claim 100%. Exactly what crimes was the president referring to?
He wasn't referring to crimes. That's exactly the point he was making, Ouija. What the president is saying is that these crimes will be made up and reported as a crime to undermine the great work that the federal task force is doing to reduce crime in Washington, D.C. And I think the president has every reason to believe that, given the efforts of many reporters in this room who actively seek to undermine the president and what he's doing in our nation's capital. We all know that deep inside you all agree with this because you all live here, and I'm sure you are very grateful for the administration's efforts to make the city, which we all reside in, much safer for ourselves and our families. Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. Florida Congressman Randy Fine is calling for judges to face consequences if the violent repeat offenders they release go on to commit new crimes. Is that something the president supports?
This is not something I've heard the president discuss. You can ask him yourself next time you have the opportunity to. How's that?
Caroline, one more question. On Thursday, President Trump will head to the Pentagon and also to New York City in honor of the 24th anniversary of 9/11. Has the president expressed any interest on creating or having congressmen create a new 9/11 commission to answer some of the ongoing questions many Americans have about that day?
I, again, have not heard the president discuss that. You're welcome to ask him yourself, but I do know he very much looks forward to going to both the Pentagon and the Yankees game in New York City on Thursday to commemorate the 24th anniversary. As you know, the president is a New Yorker at heart. He loves the city very much. It is his home, and you'll hear more about that on Thursday when the president speaks on this himself. Kelly.
Caroline, thank you. I wanted to ask you a question about the president speaking yesterday before the Religious Liberty Commission. As you know, he's created the White House Faith Office, the Task Force on Anti-Christian Bias, and yesterday he talked about the importance of the Bible in America and the importance of prayer in America. Some people have criticized him for that in stating that he's espousing Christian nationalism. Yet the president has called on the American people to band together in praying for this nation for people of all faiths. How important is that to the Trump administration, and are there guidelines for implementing that?
Well, last time I checked, it's not just Christians who pray, it's people of all faith who pray, and that's what the president wants to protect, the religious freedom for Americans of all faith. And he spoke about that yesterday, and that's why he was very proud and excited to announce this new initiative, Pray America, encouraging all Americans to pray for our country and the goodness of our country leading up to America's 250th birthday next year. Why don't we take some from the sides? Elizabeth, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions.
Sure.
First, on prayer again. Is the Trump administration looking for the forthcoming prayer guidelines to challenge existing court precedent on the right to pray in public schools?
Well, the president spoke about that yesterday, and some of the changes we are making to ensure that the religious liberties of America's students and our youth are respected in public schools. In fact, he had a young student and invited him on stage to share his story about how when this young boy spoke about biological and biblical truth in his classroom, he faced consequences for that, and how Americans of faith should not be facing consequences for expressing their religious freedom and their religious views. Not in any public school in America should that be happening. You heard the president talk about that yesterday.
Sure. Caroline, thank you so much. Regarding Israel attacking Doha, beside a phone call, what was President Trump's involvement in the attack, if any?
Look, I don't have anything more to read out for you on this other than the very lengthy and thorough statement that I have shared repeatedly now.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you. After the Supreme Court ruling yesterday on the ICE raids in Los Angeles, some, particularly non-white U.S. citizens, are saying that they're going to begin carrying their U.S. passports with them at all times. What is the White House's response to Americans who are concerned about being swept up, as others have been already, in these enforcement actions?
They should not be concerned, because this administration is focused on detention and deportation of illegal alien criminals who broke our nation's immigration laws. And the Supreme Court upheld the Trump administration's right to stop individuals in Los Angeles to briefly question them regarding their legal status, because the law allows this, and this has been the practice of the federal government for decades. And the Immigration and Nationality Act states that immigration officers can briefly stop an individual to question them about their immigration status if the officer has reasonable suspicion that the individual is illegally present in the United States. And reasonable suspicion is not just based on race, it's based on a totality of the circumstances to review. And I will tell you, I spoke to our border czar about this morning. When ICE goes out to conduct a targeted operation to deport illegal criminals from our community, they are doing so with intelligence, they are doing so with law enforcement sources, they are doing so in most cases with the backing of local law enforcement who know exactly where these illegal alien criminals and drug traffickers and drug dealers are hiding in plain sight in American communities. And the men and women of ICE are doing everything they can to not only follow the law, but to enforce the law. And it's about time that has happened, because we had 4 years of an administration who completely ignored and evaded our nation's very clear immigration laws, and the Supreme Court has reaffirmed that.
Thanks, Caroline. One of the other documents released by the House Oversight Committee contained a photo of Jeffrey Epstein holding an oversized check that was made out to him in the check from the president for $22,000 for a fully depreciated woman. I wondered if the president has any recollection of that, or what you guys make of that photo that was included in those documents.
Did you see the signature on that check? It is not Donald Trump's signature. It is absolutely not. The president did not sign that check.
But does he recognize the woman?
Caroline,
Thank you, Caroline.
on the New York City election,
Caroline.
is he
Well,
considering?
I'll take both of you. Go ahead.
So first, is the president considering offering Mayor Eric Adams a job? If so, why? And does he think Curtis Lee was a serious candidate for New York City mayor?
Look, the president has made it quite clear he wants this race to move forward in New York City. He does not want a communist to be running New York City, but as for weighing in on other individual candidates, I'll leave that to the president to do himself.
Caroline, and then following up on Reagan's question, many of these highest crime cities in America, they're led by black mayors, including the three that you mentioned, Jackson, Memphis, Birmingham. So given that, what's your response to criticism from the left that Trump is targeting black mayors? Isn't he just trying to protect black people?
The president is trying to protect all Americans from crime, and he wants to make all of our cities in America safe. And the fact is, the most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrats overwhelmingly. And according to the FBI crime statistics, 19 of the top 20 cities with the highest murder rate are run by Democrats. And these high crime Democrat-run cities are driving up the crime stats in otherwise safe red states. So of course he wants to address this problem. He's made that quite clear.
Mike Johnson, he came out and said that the president was an FBI informant. Do you know what he meant by that, if it's not true?
I can affirm that is not true. I think the speaker was referring to the fact that President Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago property for reasons the president has already discussed. John.
Thank you, Caroline. First of all, as a Washington, D.C. resident with my family, I just want to thank the administration for revitalizing safety here in the last 3 weeks. It's been stunning. Well, I want to go to Virginia. All of a sudden, out of the blue, Winsome Sears has closed the gap on Abigail Spanberger. Got 4 issues. Coerced abortions in Fairfax County without telling mom or dad, no parents, girls going in boys' bathrooms on film, right? 2 of the young fellows get suspended for complaining about it. Virginia Beach man, an innocent man, is now died in a car crash by a drunk illegal going on the other side of the road, and now you got Spanberger's got these racist signs. When are we going to get the president to make an official endorsement of Winsome Sears and maybe come and campaign in South West Virginia?
Well, as you know, I'm very limited in what I can talk about when it comes to political endorsements in future elections from this government podium. But all of the issues that you just mentioned, I know, are very important to the president, and it's quite common sense. It's the foundation of the Republican Party, and it's what sent this president back to the Oval Office. We want to keep men out of women's sports and bathrooms. We want criminals to be locked up. The president wants to see law and order in every state across the country. But as for political endorsements, I'll leave that to him and his political advisors to make those. Sure. Haley.
Thanks, Caroline. I have 2 questions for you, if it's okay. One on Doha and one on immigration and crime.
Sure.
On Doha, ahead of the strike we saw today, did the administration at any point try to dissuade the Israelis from the potential for an action like we saw today?
Again, I have answered questions repeatedly on this. I have a very lengthy statement which we will release after this briefing for all of you to read and to report on once again.
Okay. And then on a case in Maryland, the killing of Dakara Thompson, there are reports that the suspect arrested for her murder was in the country illegally and arrested and released for driving under the influence both in 2022 and in April of this year by U.S. Park Police. Is the administration looking into what process allowed this to take place?
Yes, we absolutely are. As soon as we saw this case, we ensured that the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice were on it, and I can assure you that they are. This is another heinous act of violence against someone who should have never been in our country illegally in the first place, and that's exactly why the deportation of illegal criminals from our country is a top priority for this administration, and it's something that is happening every single day. And I would encourage all of you to continue to report on the very violent illegal alien criminals that we are deporting daily from American communities across the country. We will never understand how many lives have been saved by these efforts, or how many lives would have been lost if not for this president and the administration's policy to deport illegal criminal aliens.
Harris. Thanks, Caroline. Follow-up on Charlie's question. Will the president meet with the Jeffrey Epstein victims?
I don't have any meetings for you to read out on that.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Is the Trump administration considering a ban on transgender Americans owning guns? Is that something the president would support, even as we've seen some gun groups oppose the idea of that?
I saw reporting on this. I understand there were very preliminary, low-level discussions about this at the Department of Justice, and then sometimes those discussions are reported as fact. I'm not tracking any potential actions on this front, and I'll let the president weigh in on that. It's a policy decision, and it's far too early or would be premature, inappropriate for me to weigh in on it at this point in time. Behind you. Go ahead.
After the immigration raid at the plant in Georgia on Friday, the president said over the weekend that he's open to some kind of changes in perhaps rules or visa rules or law that would prevent something like that happening in the future for skilled workers to train American workers.
That's right.
Can you confirm that and that the administration supports those changes, and what exactly would that look like?
Well, the president said it himself in a statement that he put out on Sunday night, where he is very grateful for foreign companies from around the world and the investments that they are making right here in the United States of America. And he understands that these companies want to bring their highly skilled and trained workers with them, especially when they're creating very niche products like chips, or in this case in Georgia, like batteries. But the president also expects these foreign companies to hire American workers, and for these foreign workers and American workers to work together to train and to teach one another. And so he expects these foreign companies to hire American labor. We want Americans to have these jobs. Americans need these jobs, but he also understands the need for these companies to bring over their workers who already have these skills. So I think it's a very
what those changes might be?
I think it's a very nuanced and responsible and sensible approach for the president to take, and I know that the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Commerce are working on this matter together. I would defer you to them for any further action on this front.
Caroline, thank you. Just I want to follow up on something you said. You said the Epstein documents are a hoax that Democrats are perpetrating against the president. You said he didn't sign that check, that he didn't sign the birthday card that he allegedly signed. So what is the theory, since these documents came from the Epstein estate? Who is I guess in your view, faking these documents?
I did not say the documents are a hoax. I said the entire narrative surrounding Jeffrey Epstein right now that is absorbing many of the liberal cable channels on television is a hoax that is being perpetuated by opportunistic Democrats like Ro Khanna and the others whom you saw on that press conference outside of Capitol Hill, who are trying to push this hoax against the President of the United States.
What exactly is the hoax? I'm just trying to understand what's fake. What's fake is not the documents.
The hoax is the Democrats pretending to care about victims of crime when they do not care about victims of crime, when they have done nothing to solve crimes, when they have done nothing to lock up child pedophiles and child rapists across the country, and when they are now using victims as political props to try and, again, smear the President of the United States and drag on this bad story about him. It is a distraction. The Democrats view this story as nothing more than an attempt to distract from the accomplishments and the achievements of this administration. And that is what we mean when we call it a hoax.
But if he didn't sign these, if you said he didn't sign the birthday card, he didn't do this, he also didn't do the check, those were in documents from the estate. So what is the working theory as to why he's in them?
The President has one of the most famous signatures in the world, and he has for many, many years. You know that, Maggie, you've covered him for a long time, long before he assumed this office when he was a businessman in New York. The President did not write that letter. He did not sign those documents. He maintains that position, and that position will be argued in court by his lawyers. The President is very confident he's going to win this case.
Caroline, thank you. Is the President planning to meet with Eric Adams in New York, maybe at the Yankees game? And has he personally talked to him about the race?
I am not tracking any meeting with Mayor Adams at this time, but if that happens, I'm sure the New York Post will be one of the first people to know about it. I'll take a couple more questions. Why don't we go to the back?
Tom Dempsey with News Nation. Regarding the growing U.S. military
News
presence...
Nation, all the way in the back.
Regarding the U.S. military, the growing U.S. military presence in the Caribbean, when asked directly about possible future military action, President Trump responded, "You're going to find out." What could the U.S. public expect with that situation moving forward, and what sort of ongoing threat does Trendeo Agro present?
I think it would be very unwise of me to preview what the President meant from this podium, but I think with the heart of what the President was saying, I know what the heart of what the President was saying and this administration believes, is that the regime in Venezuela is illegitimate, and it is unacceptable to this President and this administration to traffic illegal, deadly drugs into the United States of America. And that's why the president and the administration took very strong action against a boat and 11 narco-terrorists in international waters, as you all saw. I think that sends a very strong message to drug traffickers around the world. The president will not tolerate it. And the amount of drugs on that boat represents the lives of thousands of Americans that could have been killed by that deadly poison, and we're not going to allow that deadly poison to come into our country. The president will be signing a proclamation in the Oval Office later this afternoon, and we will see you all later. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, yes, proclamations, other things coming up here. I think it's these series of press briefings, I think, are the most well-executed ones that I've honestly ever seen. And this dates back through R.E. Fleischer, the folks during Bush's tenure, who really had to be on top of things given the state of the world at that point in time, with the emphasis on the war on terror. But boycott all Trump supporter businesses, says Cool Ed. That doesn't sound very cool. It's not very nice. Why didn't the Democrats use the files against Trump when they had a full access to them? I think that's the simple question to help you realize that everything might actually be a hoax. Is that answer goes, or that question goes unanswered? Because there is no adequate answer to it at this point. But all right, guys, I appreciate the engagement. I'll look to enable the community posts if you guys want to converse on that. Might be a good opportunity to continue the dialogue after streams end. But for now, I'm about to pass out. Let's try to start this during normal business hours, between 9 to 10 o'clock or something at night. But until then, thank you very much, guys.
The words of the liar's mouth, causing their followers doubt. One voice shouts above the crowd, the message of political cow. Conspiracies abound inside their twisted sound. One voice shouts above the crowd, the message of political cow.